me is NewsWatch sports anchor Jayson Kern and sports reporter Graeme Farrell. There's been a lot of action within the last week, so there's lots of things to cover, but we're going to start things out with the baseball team. Obviously, last weekend they started their season with a 4-game series against Hawaii on the road, came out with 2 wins and then 2 losses. But last night they actually had their home opener, ended up losing against Arkansas State. So, gotta ask y'all, how are we feeling about the start so far?
So not to disrespect Arkansas State, they're 5-0 after that win. So they are heading in the right direction. Everything the commentators were talking about during the game was everything positive with Arkansas State. So it's not like we played some nobody team. When you look at the Hawaii series, we won the first game in 13 innings and then won the second game 5-2 pretty convincingly. But those we were 2-0 to start the season, and now we're 0-3 since. And in those 3 games, I think we were combined 9 for 60 with runners in scoring position, which is unheard of with Ole Miss baseball. And that was the theme last year. It was just we're not clutch with hitting, and that's been the theme. And even with clutch hitting, the pitching has just not been there at all. We gave up 9 runs in game 3, 13 runs in game 4, both against Hawaii. Just 2 games we did not look good in. It's like, all right, let's get off the island, let's come back to Mississippi, let's regroup. And it came yesterday, and the pitching didn't look great. Gave a bunch of walks. The hitting was nowhere to be seen. We would get runners on, and I think we hit into 4 double plays yesterday. And that it just shows there's frustration. And do I believe this team has what it takes? Yeah, they're super, super, super young. We have a couple freshman transfers from last year, and you want to see them get in a groove, but just the way they've been playing, it's like
definitely some growing pains.
Is the season over for it? Usually when it comes to Ole Miss sports, it's like, all right, we look good. SEC play comes, and that's where we fall off. The wheels come off. This year, it's looking like the wheels are coming off before SEC play even starts. And if we're playing this bad before SEC play starts, we might not win a game at SEC play at this rate. That's a stretch, obviously. But with High Point coming up, they're 1-4. High Point, if we can't win that series against High Point, then I start getting concerned. Because if you lose series to High Point and then you have a top-ranked
sweep High Point,
that would be perfect. Go sweep High Point. Go 5-3 into a really, really good Iowa series. Iowa's ranked 20 in the nation. They are such a good team. One of their best pitchers throws 104. So if we can, they're really good. They're projected to go to Omaha this year. And again,
are we playing at Iowa?
No, it's here.
No, here.
Okay.
So that's big. Well, not big because we just lost to Arkansas State at our home. But if High Point, that's really going to be because they're not good, and we need to just prove ourselves that hey. Let's sweep them. Let's sweep them convincingly. Let's have a mercy or 2 in there, and let's not make it close. That's the big thing. And when you have runners in score position, get a hit. This is where Bianco's such. He's been around the program for so long. He's been through the ups and the downs. We won a championship 2 years ago. Last year we were pretty good, but we weren't good enough. And this year it's looking like we're just continuing going down. So this is really what we're going to see, like what Bianco's made of. Honestly.
I agree. Just a young team, like you said. No factor of the game I believe we look good at. Like Arkansas State yesterday, no one of their pitchers threw over 2 innings. They had us off balance. They kept us guessing. And that's where I think with this young team, they just don't have the experience. Some guys obviously do, some returning players. But you could tell that baseball's a game of adjustments, and we weren't making them yesterday. And they kept us off balance. And also with the pitching, the only bright spot was Braden Jones. He threw 3 scoreless innings. So at least our bullpen and Mason Nichols came into the game through a shutout 9th. At least that back end of the bullpen is looking good. But it's just still discouraging to see this happening. Haven't lost a season opener at Swayze. Since
really
2020, like 4 years. It still shouldn't be happening. If it was a ranked team or a better D1 team coming in, then I could understand. But Arkansas State, it's not a good look. Not a good look at all.
It's not a good look, and you would sit here and hope that this is where we figure it out. We do the first couple series, figure it out, and when it comes time for the really big important series like SEC play, that's where we want to start playing good baseball. So figure it out now. You have the High Point is the perfect team to come in here and figure out all your problems. Because if you can get the pitchers to have great innings, give them confidence. The hitters are not going to face the best of pitching with High Point. Give them confidence also going into a really good Iowa series. If we can get hits because we've not been able to get rack up hits. That's just been our big issue. And if we can just get the bats rolling a little bit against Iowa and then win the midweek next week into High Point and then win the midweek going into Iowa, just give the team this team needs a boost, and I feel like the High Point series it's coming at a really good time.
They definitely need some positive vibes brought in, so hopefully a sweep against High Point will do just that. But another big topic of conversation for the last couple years really has been the future of Bianco, and now this year, the rumors are swirling more than ever about his future here. Is he going to maybe retire now, they're saying, or is he just going to be let go at the end of the season if it isn't that great of a season at the end? But what are y'all's thoughts?
He still has 2 years left on his contract until 2026. Yeah. He's getting paid $1.6 million annually. My thing is, with the construction coming in, with everything happening with the baseball field and the stadium, I don't know what Keith Carter's going to do. Does he want to have a guy that he knows that is stable? He doesn't want to shake things up, have a whole new recruiting class that he loses because of recruits.
Too many changes,
especially you want to be successful in that new season when we have the new upgrades, because revenue comes back at you when you win. So we're going to see. I think he is very much on the hot seat, especially if we have a losing season.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that I've talked to that are like, we should have fired Bianco when we had the chance, aka the 2022 season. Yeah, these last 3 seasons, even when we won a championship, we honestly shouldn't even. We got lucky even making the postseason that year, and when we made it in, we got hot and
then he was set for life after that.
We won it all. It's like, Bianco's the guy. Let's give him a statue out front. And then after the championship, we've missed the postseason, and this year,
right back to that.
This year, it's like we're gonna do the exact same. So I think it's gonna come down to, if we can get into the postseason, he lives to see another year. If we miss the postseason again, which should be for the 3rd straight year, but gonna be for the 2nd straight year, it's time to switch things up. Because we're when you think of like Ole Miss, the baseball team is always like a top thought. And football is growing and basketball is growing, but always has been baseball. So yeah, I just feel like it's gonna have to be changed if something doesn't happen here this year.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we'll see how it all plays out. But we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about the men's basketball team and how things are shaping up for them.
It's that time of the year again, fellas. When the mornings are hot, the afternoons are hotter, and football is on its way back. Now, games is won by the battles fought in August. Everyone that's not revered as an Ole Miss legend has been in your shoes before, trying to survive that Mississippi heat, competing for a spot, and knowing the sacrifice that it takes to make it in this league. You go into this money collection of men from 100 different places, and if you work, you emerge from it as one team with one goal and one heartbeat. The SEC awaits you. And if they don't know who you are now, they will soon.
Where are we gonna go? Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like wine. Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called
Oxford, Mississippi. To see it is to believe it. You hear about it, but you just have to see the party.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grove.
The sound and fury are here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Getting out of toe down.
pageantry, the pride, the pomp is unmatched and unrivaled.
This stadium has come unhinged.
This is what college football is all about.
Oh, as he gets walloped.
No coach is having more fun than
This is the place to be in college football right now.
Welcome back to Rebelwatch. Now moving things over to the men's basketball team. They're kind of in an interesting spot right now. Had a win against Missouri last weekend and then had a tough loss against Mississippi State on the road. How did you feel about their performance? Was it a shocking loss to you, or was it kind of expected?
Rivalry games are always hard. I didn't expect us to come out this sluggish against State, but I'd say at the end of the half, Matthew Morrell really set and he really started guiding his guys towards the win. At the end of the half, we were up 4, but my thing is going into the second half, we didn't have the urgency. Also, Jamarian Sharp and Musa Cisse, they have no moves in their bag. They have nothing that they can do. They're not even averaging 5 points, neither one of them, and the reason why our team shoots so badly from the field is because we have nothing inside. They're always guarding the perimeter, and it just upsets me to see because our guys aren't able to get the shots that they need, and then that's what happened in this Mississippi State game, and it also caused turnovers. They had 10 more turnovers than we did. Also, the officiating in this game was awful. I don't know how Mississippi State has 20 more free throws than us, almost 40 free throws taken in a game, a college game.
One of the refs' fathers played basketball at Mississippi State.
Well, there
They
it
said-
is.
they said that-
There's a connection.
They said that at halftime going to the half. It's like, oh, this ref, I forgot the name, but it's like his dad was like a really good player at Mississippi State. I'm like, that answers quite a few questions.
Yeah.
And when you bring up how Sharp and Cisse are just averaging more fouls per game than points per game, Cisse and Sharp had 9 combined fouls. You know how many fouls Mississippi State centers had? 0.
Yeah,
Zero.
Chris Beard
Zero.
mentioned, and that's insane. For
Zero.
physical players, that's insane in the SEC.
Yeah, it really stinks because I really hate blaming refs. Like it's not something I like.
You don't want to
doing.
be that person.
You don't want to do it, but it's just like there were so many and I was getting annoyed at the State crowd because we got so many bad calls and they'll get one bad call and the crowd will flip. I'm like, have you not seen how just lopsided this game has been? And Beard is cool, calm, and collected always. He's sitting on the bench, letting the guys play their game. He got a tech. You never see Chris, at least in this with this Ole Miss team, he is never really gotten vocal unless we're doing something good. He'll hype the players up. He got a tech, and you never see that from Chris Beard. So that got to answer a few questions of why was he so mad? I wonder why. Because they were calling everything under the hoop. They were out of bounds calls were not there was some that were blatantly obvious that was on State and they were pointing it toward. It was insanely frustrating, and we would go on these great runs, take the lead, and then the refs would just I don't want to blame refs, but they would just swing the momentum back to State, and they were not getting good buckets. It was just the 20 more free throws than us. We lost by 12, and who gives up 39 free throws in a game? That's not for 39 free throws in a game is absurd. And if you watch that game, we lost by 12, but that was not a 12-point win for State. That was it felt like it was a back and forth game the entire game. And I'm not discrediting State. They're such a good defensive team, and it was such an evenly matched game. Look at the game that was back in Oxford. We won by 4, but it came down to missed free throws in the end. Is why we ultimately ended up winning that game. Yeah, it was a great matchup. It was a lot of fun, but it was just so stressful because at this point in the season, Joe Lunardi said this was a must-win game for Ole Miss, and to lose the way that game played out and to lose that way is it's really, really frustrating. And these are the wins that we need to pick up because now we went from a last 4 in to now our first 4 out, and the stress is just gaining for Ole Miss right now.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously we were talking about the State loss, but the Missouri win was also very interesting too. We all thought that it was going to be a pretty easy win. It was not that way at all.
Not at all. Against a team that hasn't even won a conference game in the SEC this year, you win by 3 at home. I thought it was definitely troubling, but you could tell that even though they were down after the first half, they rallied in the second half. They fed off the crowd's energy. They were there. They had that fire. Why can't they do that on the road? It seems like even in the second half of this Mississippi State game, they had it. They had it in their hands. They had the chance to take control of that game, and they couldn't. They just can't find the spark. Also, we need more than one guy in a game to have a great game, especially down the stretch against these great teams that we're going to play, such as South Carolina. It's going to be hard. We can't just have Matthew Morrell going for 23 or then Alan Flanagan going for 26, Matthew Morrell only 12, and Jamin Brakefield only for 12. We got to have more consistent performances from all-around guys, especially in the starting lineup, because we already know our bench does not execute when they're on the floor. Only 11 points this game against State. And for State, their big X factor off the bench was Tolu Smith, who had 24 points, who carried them to this win.
And then looking ahead to this weekend when they play South Carolina, what are some expectations that you have or some things that you think the team needs to execute to be able to pull off the win?
We say it time and time again that this game is a must-win. This game is a must-win.
Yeah.
And
But this one really is.
This is the must-win game. This is the must-win game. It's a quad 2 game coming into our house. We played at South Carolina. We lost by 3. At South Carolina, we can compete with them. South Carolina, they're really good. Again, they are really good shot making. They're just the chemistry on the team is so good. They got blown out by 40 against Auburn. That I think was a little bit of a reality check for them. So that's why I'm kind of scared for this weekend. It's like, wow, we looked that bad on the road. Like that's gonna look terrible come March Madness. So it's like, all right, we got an Ole Miss team that's struggling right now, and we're gonna go into their house and we're gonna try and stun them and end their season. That's why I think this team needs to be ready. Like this team needs to just they need to know what's at stake. And like that's why like I'm comfortable with Chris Beard because he's been in the situation. He knows time and time again. And Ole Miss has been really good. And it's crazy. This Ole Miss has been so good, and this is like so new for us. But this is Chris Beard's worst team he's ever coached. So it's new. It's new for him. But again, like I say it all the time. Like I cannot wait to see what he can do because like as Ole Miss fans, we're already this has been a fun year so far, and I love it. But show us that we can actually make it over that hump that we can never do in the past years.
For sure.
I agree.
Will be interesting to see how the game goes this weekend, but we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the women's basketball team and their hopes for the NCAA tournament.
Ole Miss 18th NCAA tournament appearance.
This is fun, folks, as Baker's peeling it. Little heat check. Snow Collins for 3. Bring it up.
Said, I love Madison Scott.
Ole Miss Rebels are having a lot of fun, and you can see why.
My passion is journalism. Here at the University of Mississippi, we produce a nightly half-hour newscast, broadcasting regionally on cable and globally on the World Wide Web. It's the kind of experience that is preparing me to walk into any news station in the country with the skills and abilities I need to succeed. So it's not just preparing me for the real world, it is the real world.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Welcome back to Rebelwatch. We're now going to be talking about the women's basketball team now, who are coming off of 2 big wins, both against Florida and Mississippi State. What do you think about the Lady Rebs and how they're doing?
Fight. One word to describe this team. This team has fought back-to-back, one from a 16-point, one from a 7-point deficit, to force overtime, and then to have commanding wins in overtime. Madison Scott, I think she's going to go down as one of the best players in Ole Miss women's basketball history. Also named
SEC Co-Player of the Week this week,
SEC Co-Player of the Week. She's done great. She also got her 25th double-double. Only 8 other ladies have done that in Ole Miss women's basketball history. The state game was also insane, amazing. I loved the uniforms, the peak. Really, it showed out for us. The crowd was electric. It was just great. I love because we called out Coach Yo. We said, hey, how's your team going to how are they going to respond after this Texas A&M loss where they lost by 19 at home? And they've responded in a big way. And now they're trekking towards that NCAA tourney, and they're looking like a good seed coming into it.
Yeah, we talked on last week's show about how do you get blown up by A&M at home? Like that it kills the season. Like what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
And as soon as that show ended,
they completely changed the narrative.
Down against Florida, won by 10 in overtime. Won by 10 in that 5-minute span. Looked dominant. State, again, like we said again, for the men's, it's a rivalry game. They're never going to be blowouts. No matter how good or how bad team is, it's always going to be close. It's always going to be great atmosphere. This team is looking really fun. And like Madison Scott, yeah, she's been playing great, but she looks like the best player in the nation in the last 10 minutes of each game. She looks like a really good, and then when it comes down to like, oh, we're losing, oh, we got to get some clutch buckets, she becomes a different player, and it's insane. And that is what Ole Miss will need when it comes time for the SEC tournament and for the March Madness run. And Coach Yo in the past, she's made it, then she went to the Sweet 16, and she's always saying how she's going to try and get better every year. And when it comes time to, again, like it's all about getting hot at the right time, because it's like the Princetons or the St. Pete's and the FDUs of the road who upset teams. Us last year, we went into Stanford's house, and we beat them in one of the greatest upsets in Ole Miss women's basketball history. And it just shows you how, like, before that game, like, a lot of people were like, oh, like, it was a great season, go to Stanford, like, good luck next year. Coach Yo proves that she can win the big games. Yeah, we've had a couple pretty not great losses, but, like, Madison Scott and Snuda Collins and Marquisha Davis, the list goes on about how, like, this team could actually shoot. Snuda Collins has been fantastic from behind the arc this year, and if you have that combined with Madison Scott, just getting easy buckets under the hoop, why wouldn't we make another run this year? And like it's funny because we were saying the exact opposites last week, and Coach Yo, like the beginning of the season was great, and then we had the little bit of a, and it's like, oh, damn, like what's going on? And it's boom, we're right back to where we want to be, sitting fourth in the SEC now, but it's a whole different, I wouldn't say a whole different team, but like we just look a lot more,
a whole different energy about them.
It's whatever Coach Yo's doing in practice, she's keep doing it, because this team looks really good right now.
Yeah, you talk about like how there's some bad losses, but these two past wins, especially this Florida win, going on the road and being down that much, it shows that like in the NCAA tournament, this team does have the fight to come back, and they will be able to get it done. I think that their biggest factor is their physicality. We are big on the floor, and I feel like we match up really well against other teams, especially in the SEC. And I think we're going to have make some statements in this SEC tournament when it finally comes around.
For sure. And then looking ahead, you talk about big road wins. They have an opportunity. They go to Missouri next. What do you think that game is going to
I think it's just going to be, it's hard to go on the road no matter what it is. It's late in the season. I think that Madison Scott dropping another double-double. I think Snuda Collins is going to shoot great from three. Missouri's, down a little bit in the conference standings. I think they're about 12th. But I think it should be an easy road win. But we also said that about A&M when they came into our house. Should be an easy win. So I think they're just going to have to keep the same mentality as if they were playing any other team. Don't overlook them. Just play hard and let your playing do the talking.
Yeah, and it's like when you think about men's versus women's basketball, the men's team they're fighting, and they're really fighting. I think that if the women's team just wins they just win the games they need to win, they're smooth. I wouldn't even think they have to, at the rate they're at right now, you could lose the first game in the SEC tournament and you'll still be fine, which is why I feel really confident in this team. It's like, just make it and let's ride.
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely be interesting to see how everything plays out. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the MLB and the beginning of spring training.
The dynamic freshman is starting to make his impact. With the shot clock down to 1. That 3-ball drops for Jamin Brakefield. Fake the corner with a triple. Farrell for three, and that's a big response. Three ball, yes. Miss shooting lights out at the pavilion. And give him one more. Wow. Alley-oop. No, you can't teach that. Well, that should give Ole Miss a boost.
Creating a legacy takes time, takes dedication, spirit, and a greater vision. That vision starts here at the University of Mississippi. What will you be remembered by? Your character, your contributions, your friendship. Your legacy will define who we are now and who we are becoming for our state, our students, and our future. Ole Miss, build your legacy.
We are rebels. For more than 160 years, we've been accomplishing the impossible, from conducting the world's first lung transplant to helping prove Einstein was right. From preserving the past to saving the future. We are Mississippi's flagship university, a place where passion and learning unite, where friends become family, where small-town charm meets world-class innovation. We are the University of Mississippi. We are Ole Miss.
Welcome back. Well, we're now going to be talking about the MLB because the spring training has just recently begun and all the preseason expectations are rolling in. But what are y'all's way too early predictions for the season?
I'm going to say for my World Series prediction, I'm going to go Dodgers versus Blue Jays. Wow. Surprisingly, I think the Blue Jays, I think they have the squad to finally do it, and they're going to obviously be my World Series champion. Dodgers getting Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto, just, two of the biggest names in free agents this season. I just feel like the NL is really stacked, especially with the Braves getting Chris Sale. That's a very big pickup. Just a lot going on. It's going to be difficult, especially also with the Blue Jays having the Yankees and getting Juan Soto in their division. So we're going to see how it goes.
You got that short porch and right for Soto to hit.
Yeah, that lefty.
All of Yankee Stadium is a short porch. It's annoying. Money buys you happiness, and that's exactly what the Dodgers are doing. They're paying Shohei $700 million.
Deferred.
Yeah, I think it's like $2 million every year to the end of the contract, and then they're giving a dude who's never thrown a single pitch in an MLB game $325 million. I haven't thrown a pitch in an MLB game. Why can't I get that money? It's crazy. It's like, okay, I'm a sad Mets fan because Yamamoto got the exact same offer from the Mets and he turned it down and wanted to go play with Shohei. I get it. I respect it. Yeah, there were so many crazy signings. Shohei to the Dodgers. I feel like a lot of people saw that coming. Yamamoto was like either a Yankees, a Mets, a Red Sox. A lot of people were thinking East Coast, but a lot of people were like, oh, he's going to go play with Shohei out in L.A., and that's exactly what happened. But when you think about free agency right now, there's the reigning Cy Young from last season, Blake Snell, who had a fantastic season, is still sitting on the market right now, and there are plenty of teams that could offer him. And Cody Bellinger, who's been an amazing batter, and fielder also, is still sitting there. So there's a couple big names that are still on the market, and spring training started yesterday with the Dodgers beating the Padres 14-1 and again, like with the Dodgers, Shohei's not going to pitch at all this season. It's all going to be the bat, and that's what he's best at, I feel like. His bat is unheard of with Freddie Freeman. So I think it's going to be, I don't know in the AL side. I really, really don't. But it's going to be the Dodgers versus somebody, and whoever they play, they're going to win. It really pains me to say it, but it's just their rotation's great, their lineup's great. You're not beating them. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the Dodgers and the Astros.
Oh, classic.
Astros.
There it is. Okay. I got the Rangers running it back.
That's all we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to Rebel Watch, and be sure to tune into next week. Thank you and good night.